I have children as well. I have a freshman in college and a freshman in high school. So I've been through middle school, so I know your pain and I know your happiness and your joy and everything else that you're going through. So I did teach here starting in 1992. I student taught here when I was going to Boston University, and then I was fortunate enough, because no one was hiring social studies teachers at the time, there was no vacancies. Mr. Tobin retired. I don't know if they had Mr. Tobin, but so he retired, so I got his position for January through June in 1993, and then got riffed a couple of different years just to build character, but luckily positions kept opening up, so I stayed here. I taught 8th grade in the beginning. I was on the split team for a couple of years, 7th grade world geography for 12 years, and then went to the high school for a couple of years. I was hoping to go into curriculum department head coordinator, which I did, and my boss at the time, Dr. Kent, said, you should go to the high school and learn what it's like at the high school. And I said, but I love it here. And he said, it's better to go to the high school. So I did, and I did love it at the high school, and it was great because I learned, you know, as an 8th grade teacher, 7th and 8th grade teacher, you're really working hard to prepare your students for the high school. And so it was nice to go to the high school and learn like what they actually experienced at the high school, and sort of, it really helped me in my job now as assistant principal know what to tell the teachers what they need for the high school. So I did that for a couple of years, and then the opportunity wasn't here in Arlington for a department head, so I reluctantly left Arlington, which I loved. I mean, I always said I would never find a school as happy as Ottoson when I was here. So when I started here, it was the 7-8, and then we went to the high school for a couple of years, and then when I came back, it was the 6-7-8. So most of the time I was here, but I was here originally when it was just the 7-8, so I have experience.
At Concord Middle School for 5 years, learning how to become an educator. Loved my time in Concord. I was coaching at the high school, and I was a 6th grade social studies teacher. And I thought one of the really, really nice things was I would get to meet kids as they were leaving the elementary school. I'd get to have relationships with them, and then I would see them in high school as they were getting ready to graduate and go to college. And I just thought that was wonderful. And I think I would have been in Concord probably for the next 30 years, except for my wife came home one day and she said I was given the opportunity to go to London and run an office, and it's free housing and we'll have a great time. And so I thought that was wonderful. In fact, I see someone who used to work with my wife, so she can vouch for that story in London. So we were there for 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, I came back and I got a job at the Wellesley Middle School. It's probably where I grew up as an educator. I worked for just a wonderful principal by the name of John Doria, who ran an outstanding building. He built trust. It was a place in which people were excited to come to work. It's where the kids were well behaved. They were on the cutting edge, I think, of a lot of educational philosophies and trying things. It wasn't static. It was dynamic and fun. And once again,
yes, my name is Elizabeth Golden, but I'm called Lisa. Nickname-wise, my mom couldn't make a decision, so she went with Elizabeth, and I'm called Lisa. So we'll get that right out of the way. I'm excited to be here tonight. I know that you all have a one-pager that really doesn't fully explain who I am, but it gives you the bullet points. I think the important things to know about me is that I've been a middle school educator or an educator, secondary educator. This is my 25th year, and I'm proud of that. I was never one to intend to go into education. I'm definitely a firm believer of where the path is going to take me is where I'm going to go. When I was at UMass Amherst, I studied sociology and criminology with an intent to go to law school. And I was a psychology minor and ended up in Amherst in some elementary classrooms. And that's the route I took. I ended up deciding not to apply to law school and decided to pursue psychology and education instead. And again, the path just led itself. It may have been unconventional. I went and decided to get my master's in education without having spent a long amount of time in classrooms, whereas today, most teachers start out with a bachelor's and then they're getting their master's along the way. Went in kind of blindly, ended up doing my student teaching in Brookline, and then ended up working in a mental health facility for 2 years. Probably the best thing I ever did in my career was probably being a mental health worker, because it's informed everything that I've done till now. There was nothing that in any of the jobs I've been in that can't contribute to what I do today with middle schoolers.